Before you dive into this story, let me warn you. What you are about to hear will shake your soul, test your faith in miracles, and make you believe that sometimes, in the darkest hours, an ordinary human being can defy every law of medicine, logic, and destiny itself. So stay with me till the very end, and if this story touches your heart, don't forget to subscribe to Shock Story, because more unbelievable, true-to-life miracles and mysteries await you here. It was a stormy night in St. Mary's Hospital, the kind of night where thunder rattled windows and the electricity flickered as if nature itself was holding its breath, and inside the trauma center, chaos reigned as ambulances screeched into the ER one after another, unloading victims of a massive highway pileup, broken bones, torn flesh, and rivers of blood painting the sterile floor red. But amid the frantic screams, clattering of surgical tools, and pages echoing across the PA system, stood Emma Carter, a young ER nurse with just 5 years of experience, whose calm eyes hid a storm far greater than the one raging outside, because what she was about to face in the next 3 hours would not only challenge her training, but shatter and rebuild her soul in ways she never imagined. Emma rushed to help stabilize victims as stretchers rolled in, but then came the critical case. An unconscious teenage boy with no ID, mangled chest, collapsed lungs, and a pulse so faint the monitor struggled to catch it. And when the head surgeon, Dr. William Harris, the kind of man who believed he had seen everything, took one glance at the boy's chart, he whispered under his breath, "This one won't make it," before turning to prioritize other cases. But something in Emma's heart refused to let go. Maybe because she saw in that boy's pale face the reflection of her own brother, who had died in a wreck years ago when no one had fought hard enough for him. And so she decided in that instant, against all odds, that she would not let this child slip away. Not tonight. Not on her watch. She began chest compression, shouting for supplies, while the chaos swirled around her, inserting an IV line with shaking hands but steel determination, forcing oxygen with a manual bag when the ventilator failed. And even as the monitors flatlined twice, she refused to call it, performing CPR with tears streaming down her face. Her whispered words, "Breathe for me, please, just breathe," echoing through the sterile room. And what no one noticed in the frenzy was that Emma was improvising. When blood supplies ran low, she risked her own body, typing herself on the spot and offering her own blood directly, whispering to the attending intern to keep quiet. And when equipment jammed, she rigged a temporary drainage tube out of a piece of sterile tubing and tape, something no manual ever taught, keeping his lungs from drowning in their own blood. Every second was a war against death itself, and as the storm outside reached its peak, lightning illuminating the hospital like a battlefield, Emma fought in rhythm with it, her heart pounding louder than the thunder, until something unexplainable began to unfold. The boy's pulse, faint as a dying candle, began flickering back with each desperate compression, each drop of her blood, each whispered plea, and though the monitors insisted he was lost, she saw the faintest twitch of his fingers, like a silent rebellion against the grave, and she clung to it with ferocity. When Dr. Harris finally turned back after finishing his other surgeries, expecting to find a corpse covered in a sheet, he stopped cold as he saw Emma, drenched in sweat and blood not all her own, still pressing on, eyes blazing with unyielding fire. And then, beep, 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 the monitor came alive, weak but steady, shocking everyone in the room into silence. "This is impossible," Harris muttered, but Emma didn't answer. She just collapsed to her knees, exhausted but unbroken, and the boy, now stabilized enough for emergency surgery, was wheeled away with a fighting chance at life. Hours later, when the storm finally broke and dawn painted the sky gold, Harris found Emma sitting alone in the break room, her arms bandaged from where she had donated her own blood, and for the first time in his 30 years, the proud surgeon sat across from a nurse and whispered with genuine awe, "You saved him, Carter. You did what none of us could," his voice trembling. And though Emma said nothing, the tears in her eyes spoke of grief, hope, and an unshakable truth, that sometimes it takes not rank or years of experience, but raw humanity, reckless compassion, and the courage to break every rule in the book, to wrestle a soul back from the grip of death. The twist no one saw coming came later, when the boy awoke after surgery and whispered his name. Daniel Carter, the estranged son of Emma's own father, from a marriage she never knew about, making the boy not just a patient, but her half-brother, a revelation that left her breathless and Harris utterly speechless. For what Emma had saved that night was not just a life, but a piece of her own lost family. And though the storm outside had ended, the storm inside her had only just begun. But for now, the hospital staff whispered of the miracle, of the nurse who fought death for 3 relentless hours, and the legend of Emma Carter would spread through St. Mary's halls forever, reminding everyone that sometimes the greatest miracles come not from the hands of surgeons, but from the heart of a nurse who refuses to give up, no matter what destiny has written.